Hey everybody, welcome to the I Believe in Me podcast. My name is Gary Frater. I'm your CEO and owner of I Believe in Me. Today, I'd like to welcome my first female guest that we're finally looking to expand I Believe in Me into more of the female sector. So this is super exciting and I proudly welcome Belinda. So
hi guys.
Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm so honored. I'm your first female guest.
Yeah, this is dope. This is really exciting. So tell a little bit about your story and kind of how you got started into what you're doing now.
Oh my gosh, how long do we have? Oh my gosh. Well, I actually started Lifestyle Linda in January, but I think the reason why I started this whole thing was because I was just so tired of like these generic like meal plans and like workout plans going out to females. It was like one size fits all kind of thing. Like these massive influencers, they're, making these one size fits all plans. And I thought it was very, very weird. I'm like, not everybody wants to be like insanely skinny or, it was just weird.
Yeah.
And so that's the main reason why I started. I was like, I want females to embrace the skin that they're in. Like, whether it's to gain weight, lose weight, maintain, like it needs to be customized. Like it needs to be yours. Like everyone is different. So that's why I started that. I just wanted females to embrace their goals and really have something completely tailored to them. And that's why I started that.
Did you you felt that was missing? Was there anything in your life that basically led you to this? Like in your own goals? Yeah.
I think I was like about 18 years old and I found that I wanted to gain weight so bad. Like so bad. I just couldn't. Like I was just
Why did you want to gain? I would imagine that girls would want to lose weight.
Right. I know. But I don't know what it was. I started dating this guy and he was actually a bodybuilder.
Okay.
And I was like maybe like 90 pounds, like what? Like I was so small. And people would always say that. They're like, oh my God, you're so small standing next to him. It became a huge insecurity of mine. I was always like confident with who I was, but just people would make comments all the time. They'd be like, oh, you look, you don't look healthy. You look like you're just like not eating. And oh my God, the worst one was, you should eat a burger. And it was just like, I do eat a burger. It's just not working. It was terrible. It was so terrible. But my insecurity 100% came from dating somebody who was, into like the fitness industry and me totally not. I'm like, well, I'm going to eat candy for lunch and like maybe a soda and call it a day, It was terrible. So that kind of sparked it and I was like, wait, I want to go to the gym. Like I want to get bigger. Like I want bigger legs. I want, a butt. And it was just like, because that was like the upcoming, like when I was 18, I'm 26 now. Like I was like Instagram, when Instagram started. And yeah, I just wanted that so bad. I just wanted to be bigger and like look like a woman. So she's standing next to, this guy. So that's kind of like where that all started because all these other plans were like losing weight. I'm like, who's going to help me gain weight? Like, who's going to help me do this?
So nobody in your family was like really into fitness or anything like that?
So actually my dad was.
Yeah.
So, sorry. My dad actually was. I wouldn't say he was like a bodybuilder, but he definitely was a gym rat.
Okay.
He definitely was a gym rat. My mom always talks about like, oh my God, the amount of rice and chicken we would have to make all the time and broccoli. He's like the typical like rice, chicken, broccoli. He was a gym rat. So I definitely got that from him. My whole family's athletic when they want to be, but yeah, we're very active. We've been active our whole lives. So
awesome.
Yeah, no, I'm very thankful that I come from a family who like loves, sports and being active.
So I had the same problem too. So basically with like being underweight, right? So I wanted to gain weight. And I had a similar issue like you. Basically when I was like in high school, I was wrestling at like 89 pounds and like and it becomes, as a guy, you're like, yeah, I want to get bigger. You know what I mean? That's really interesting though, that you wanted to put on size because of the person that you were with and how it made you feel. So, and you were never into fitness before that, right?
No, I 100% was not into fitness. You'll actually be surprised as to how many females in particular, because that's I only work with females, who go through the same exact thing, and I think the number one thing that I definitely have to put out there is like, never tell somebody like, oh my God, you're so skinny, you're so lucky.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you wouldn't go up to somebody and say like, stop eating. You should stop eating. You would never say that. So why would you say that?
Exactly.
Like, I don't think people process, they're thinking to them like, oh, I wish I could look like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you don't know what that person's going through.
Exactly.
Like, keep your opinions to yourself.
Absolutely. So like people are like, oh, you look so skinny, but nobody would say, oh, you look so fat.
Right, exactly.
So what do you do now in terms of, I know you do meal plans, you do workouts. What kind of is that really the extent that you do now, and what do you kind of hope to get in the future?
Well, I mean, so I actually am a hairdresser. That is my full-time job. Like, that is my number one passion. Like, my number one love. I love doing hair. I don't think I'll ever stop doing hair. But I don't know. I honestly, people ask me that all the time. January is going to be a whole year since I've started this, and I can't tell you. I think I sit there and I think about it all the time. Like, what do I want to do with this? I love where I'm at. I've grown so much in such a short period of time. I've already changed my plans around like 3 times. Like, I keep getting better at it. And I think I just said to myself, I was like, you know what? Instead of forcing myself to hurry up and figure out the next, I'm just gonna let it happen. You know what I mean? Like, there are females who are begging me to physically train them, but I just don't have the time right now. And I am getting advice from people. I'm trying to navigate, but I'm not stressing it anymore. I'm like, you know what? If it's gonna happen and I like leave the hair industry or whatever's meant to be is gonna happen, and I had to stop forcing it.
No, that's awesome, because I kind of felt like I was in the same hole a little bit, where I'm just like constantly pushing. Yeah. I was just like, once I get to this destination, I'll be super happy.
Right.
Once I get here, once I launch I Believe in Me, I'll be really happy. And then like all these things came and I manifested all these things, but now it's just like, okay, I have to take a step back and just enjoy the journey, right?
Yeah, because you're never satisfied. It's a great thing.
Yeah.
It's so amazing to never be satisfied, because you're never going to be stagnant. You're never going to get stuck in one place. You're always going to grow. You're always going to learn about yourself. Like, you're going to learn about yourself for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? And I think exactly what you said, like just slowing down and just really embracing where you are right now and kind of reflecting and loving how far you've come, because so many people don't, just dream about it. They don't actually like do it. So, and I think we get so caught up in like, holy shit, well, I did that, let me go do that. And it's like, just embrace the journey and, embrace where you are right now.
What do you think stops people from doing what they want to do?
I think self-doubt. I think people get very, very scared. There's so many times where I wanted to start what I've started, and I've made the Instagram and I've deleted it 3 times. Like,
really?
Oh yeah, over the years. I would have been a lot bigger if I, actually started when I wanted to. And it's self-doubt. It's not believing in yourself. Like, you know what I mean? It's literally not believing in yourself. And I think once I put it in my head, I'm like, and I always say this, no one got you like you got you.
100%.
Like, no one, your number one supporter should be yourself. And I think if you truly believe in yourself and you want it so bad, you can 100% get it, as long as you are your number one supporter. Because I think when the self-doubt, and don't get me wrong, I think everybody, even along the journey, you come across self-doubt, and it's normal. But when we put in our heads that we're not good enough, it can consume you. You know what I mean? And I think that's the number one thing that like stops people from doing it, is just thinking like, I'm not going to be good at that, or I'm scared, or what are people going to think about me, or, I don't want to look a certain way. It's like, no one cares. Like, no one cares. Just do it. And
no, that's a valuable lesson. And I feel like everybody has those negative thoughts, right? It's just about how much you follow them and you listen to them, right? Because even the most successful people that are doing what they want have those thoughts, but they don't like, it doesn't define them, essentially, is what I'm saying. So what does your family kind of think about everything that you're doing in terms of fitness?
So, I mean, I've been working out for my whole adult life, but I never competed. I never even thought about competing or anything. I just do more so just be healthy. It's it's cheaper than therapy. It's my therapy session. So I've been doing it for a while, but when I started this in silence. I told not one single person that I'm even starting this. I just got onto my laptop and I had girls who kept saying to me, like, I want a plan. And I'm like, I don't even know how to make that. Like, how am I supposed to write down everything that I do throughout the day? How am I supposed to write down like what I eat? Because I don't do anything through like by textbook. I do everything how I taught myself from reading books or just experimenting. You know what I mean? So I'm like, how do I validate this information and put it into a plan? So before I like put it out there, I was like, let me like actually get into this properly. So I actually started it in silence, and it took me a little while, and I experimented and I wrote things down. And I mean, if you saw the amount of like books that I have just like scratch, I would just open up a book and just write something. I wouldn't even know where to find it again, but it was just books of it. And I don't know, I just started it and I told nobody of what I was doing. So my family was seeing a lot of everything happening firsthand, just like everybody who follows me.
Really?
Yeah. So it was never like hey guys, so like I'm starting this thing, and they're just like standing back and they're like, okay, we don't know what you're doing, but it's kind of cool. But they're so supportive of me now.
So different cultures kind of have like different things that they want their people to do, right? And so you come from an Albanian family, right? Yeah. And so what's that like a little bit? Do they support you pretty much in everything that you do?
So I'm super duper lucky because my father was actually born and raised here.
Okay.
So my grandparents are from overseas as well, but I think having somebody who I can connect with a little bit more, which is my father, he always embraced, so I have two other sisters as well. And he always encouraged us to chase our dreams, like don't depend on a man, you know, like it was complete opposite of what, you know, the rest of the culture taught you. My dad was like, absolutely not. Like, you're not depending on a man. You're opening up your own business. You're doing your own thing. Like, don't even get married. Like, he really forced us to be strong, independent females. And I definitely 100% owe that to my father. But yeah, I mean, it's hard because I see so many of my friends who are Albanian who come from completely like opposite like parents. But I mean, in the beginning when I started this, it was a little weird. Like I'd get, you know, there's people who talked shit about me, especially in the Albanian community, but they're the same exact people who are like, what you're doing is amazing. Wow, keep doing it. I'm like, thanks, man. Like, you were just talking shit about me like 7-8 months ago, but it's just part of the culture. It comes with the territory, but I'm super duper lucky. They support me in anything, anything. I mean, I grew up with very strong morals, very like strong values. So I'm super duper lucky.
And so that was ingrained by your father?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Like ever since I was young, it was always like, go to school, like get good grades, get like a job. Like, you don't want to go to college, that's fine. Do a trade, like open up your own business. Like, don't depend on a man. Like, and I'm pretty sure he was, especially as an Albanian father, he's like, shit, I have like 3 girls.
Yeah.
How am I supposed to teach them? So yeah, he like literally embedded that in our brains since we were young.
Wow.
And all my sisters are just like, we're kind of scary. We're like a little gang.
Yeah.
We're a little scary.
Have you ever been over there?
So I was in Kosovo when I was, I don't know, I think I was like 2 years old. So my mom's family is actually from Switzerland.
Wow.
So I have family like all over Europe, but no, I haven't been back. So, I mean, I can't, most of my friends still go there, like during the summers and stuff, but I haven't gone back.
So, okay, that makes sense. So you weren't born there.
No, I was born here.
Okay, because yeah, I was born in a small country called Latvia, and half the people speak Russian and half the people speak Latvian, so I speak fluent Russian.
Gotcha.
And so I understand that type of culture where sometimes it's just like, oh no, you're gonna work. I mean, you're gonna stay home and the husband takes care of.
Yeah, no, my dad was like, absolutely not. No. You're
awesome.
opening it. You want to be a dentist, you open up your, like, you have to open it up yourself.
But that's awesome. That's why that's why you are where you are right now.
100%.
And is that kind of something that you almost ingrain, I guess, in your sister? Are you the oldest?
Yeah.
Is that what you ingrain in your sisters a little bit?
The dynamic between me and my siblings is, it's the strongest bond I think I can ever have in my entire life. They're literally my best friends. I don't come off so much as an older sister. I want to make sure that I present myself in front of them as an equal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for them to be able to come to me for advice as an older sister, but more so as a, like, best friend. You know what I mean? But when it comes to that, again, that I 100% owe that to my father, because he instilled that in each and every one of us. Like, we're all very different, but we're all very similar. And my dad, you know, approaches us accordingly, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not an emotional person, so my dad doesn't, you know, approach me with emotion at all. It's
really? It's just
very much
logic?
Yeah. And whereas my sister after me, it's emotional and logic, and my youngest sister is all emotion.
Really?
All emotion. So so he approaches each one of us very, like, accordingly.
Wow.
But yeah, we definitely, like, I love my mom too. She's a sweetheart. She's the nicest person in the world. But when it comes to that, 100% my father.
What do you kind of, in your perfect world, what do you see yourself in a few years?
Oh my God.
I'm sure this is a question that you always think about and reflect on. I mean, it's...
Well, funny story. I leave it to me, but I actually tried to apply for my visa to move to Europe.
Really?
Yeah. Unfortunately, my visa got denied because of COVID-related issues and some pieces of information that I left out. That's my bad. But so yeah, I was supposed to move to Switzerland next summer. Unfortunately, it's not happening anymore. But yeah, I had everything lined up. I actually had a job lined up in a gym. I was actually going to start doing, like, fitness and then move into salon as well and do both. But I had a job lined up, I had housing lined up, I had everything lined up, and then my visa got denied, and it sucked. So then you sit there and you're like, well, shit. What is my long-term goal, like my short-term goals now? Because everything just went 180. Like, especially when you spend. I tried so hard to make sure that what I was doing online was self-sustainable, so that I can work from wherever I want. Because my main goal is to just travel. That's, like, my dream, is to just travel the world and experience cultures. But that was supposed to be the start of the rest of my life, and it was like, so we're not doing that anymore.
Right. So with COVID, right? Where do you think the fitness industry, and I guess your business specifically, where do you think that's headed?
I think it is headed. I have always said that gyms are not profitable.
Really?
They're not.
Mm-hmm.
No, like, it's, like, proven. It's like, they're not profitable.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, death of small businesses, it's gonna happen. I mean, I'm in the salon industry, and it's happening to us too. You know what I mean? You're always gonna have to have your hair cut, but it's hard. I think with gyms, in particular, so many people have, started making their own gyms in their own houses. You know what I mean? Just like you.
Like me.
Like, right. You know what I mean? Like, if I can make my own gym in my house, I 100% would, but I can't. And I do believe that it's not going to be, I don't want to say that it's going to go, like, extinct, but I'm saying, like, long term, I think it's more so people want to work one-on-one with people, like, in trainers. And I think that's what motivates people. And we're such busy people that it's like, you don't want to go into a gym and just, like, aimlessly walk around and, like, not know what the hell you're doing.
Which a lot of people do that, though.
Right. And it's a waste of time. It's literally a waste of time. And then it's like, you want to work with somebody one-on-one. And I really think that, it already started going all online. Like, a lot of clients that I work with online, they're all doing workouts at home. You know what I mean? And there's a way to, grow and get smaller, whatever, at home. So I don't know. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell, but I mean, if you walk into a gym right now, it's still packed. Like there are like if you go between 5 and 7, there's still a lot of people in there.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I can't say. I think we'll have a better idea by like next year where it's heading. But
no, that makes sense. I used to be a personal trainer at the UFC gym in Stanford, and I mean that was pre-COVID in 2017. So, but that was, I mean, it was amazing. I like working with people face to face, or when I was a personal trainer, I liked working with people face to face. I just imagine, and so many people do it now, but I imagine it's tough doing it via Zoom now.
Yeah. I honestly have no idea how people are doing it over Zoom. Like a lot of my friends who are personal trainers who are like teaching over Zoom, like God bless, but hey, you know what? Teachers are doing it too. Teachers can do it. But I think one-on-one, I'm not a group class person. I've never.
That's what I used to do.
I've never done a group class in my entire life.
Really?
I will leave. I hate it. I have no idea. I think it's just like, it's not personable.
Okay.
And like, I don't know. I just lose the drive and I'm not a fan.
Really?
Like I've never done a Zumba class. I did one yoga class.
Okay.
Once ever. And it was the LA Fitness in Stanford. This has to be like 6 years ago, maybe even more. And like
so
the instructor was so mean to me. And I was like, I'm never doing this again. I was like, fuck this. I'm like, I'm never doing yoga again. But that was the only group class. So I always forget that there are people who only do group classes. So I'm like, I don't know how that's going to work out. I mean, gyms are still doing the group classes and people are still attending, but I don't know. I always forget that group classes are a thing because I hate them.
Have you ever tried hot yoga?
I would never try
Why?
it. I don't like being like sweating like that.
Really?
I hate it.
I'll
sweat like if I'm like running on the treadmill for 15 minutes, boom, and I'm done. Hot yoga? Hell no.
Really?
Nope.
I don't know. You should try it.
I think I'm okay. I already don't like yoga.
You don't like yoga?
Not really.
Oh my God.
I know.
Wait, how are you? But you taught it. You taught hot yoga. I mean, you taught yoga, just regular yoga.
No,
right?
I've never taught yoga.
Oh, you said you
I
took
know.
it.
It was the only group class I've ever taken in my entire
okay.
life was a yoga class. And halfway through, I was like, fuck this shit, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not doing this anymore.
Oh, no. I mean, yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, there's a different type of energy when you're teaching one-on-one versus when you're teaching in
Oh,
group.
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think, again, it's like that person to person. Like you can ask questions, like you can really pick at somebody's brain and really understand the fundamentals of working out. Because it's so easy for you to just be like, okay, do this, that, and the other, instead of saying like, do this because this. And I need you to work out this specific movement to target this. It's so different. And it's like, I actually take that same exact approach and I implement it into the hair industry. Like when I do somebody's hair and I explain to them what I'm doing or like how I'm cutting it or what I'm doing, like so many of my clients love the fact that I teach them about their hair. And so a lot of people value that. And I think the same thing with training, like when a client understands a little bit more, they almost have more of a drive to continue. Just like how you become a personal trainer in the first place or how you get into fitness in the first place, because you're fascinated that if you do this, that, and the other, this is what's going to happen. You know what I mean? Instead of just being like, so do this. Okay, and I'll do that. You know what I mean? I think if you teach somebody, it sticks a little bit more. They understand it. Like we are humans, you know what I mean? We're able to understand it. So I think that's where the one-on-one is a lot, I personally think, is a lot more important than the group class.
Yeah. I've literally seen trainers just go and do the same routine over and over and over again. Tell me a little bit, what are your friends like? And because you talked a little bit about the importance of like, you talked about how people were talking shit in the beginning when you were doing the thing. Tell me a little bit about the importance for you, I guess, hanging out with the right people that are keeping you motivated and keeping you focused. What's that like for you?
So I'm a very weird individual. Okay. I do not need to be around people who are equally as motivated as I am.
Really?
Yeah. I like my best friend, like you say like healthy eating, she's like, get out of my face. She's like, I'm gonna go eat some fried chicken. Like she does not give a shit. Like she does not work out. She doesn't eat healthy. But I love hanging out with her. I hang out with her like once a week. I have my cheat meal with her.
Okay.
Or like I'll go grab a drink with her. It's I don't surround myself or have to surround myself with like-minded people. I just have to surround myself with people that I like, that I can have very, very like intellectual, deep conversations with, more so about life than anything. And that's why I put the label of lifestyle in my, name, because it needs to it's a lifestyle. Like if I want to wake up today, and I wanted to have a burger, I'm going to go have a burger, but I'm going to figure out how I'm calculating my cardio so I can eat that burger.
Exactly.
But you know what I mean? I'm never going to deprive myself. I love going out. I love going out to eat. I love drinking. That's something I will never, ever, ever stop. And realistically, everyone that I know drinks. Right. Everybody that I know loves eating out. So yeah, I'm surrounded by people who are, they have their own lives. And I don't force myself to be around people who are like, I actually have like one friend who's like an actual like gym rat who's actually like competing right now. One, just one. And she started this like a year ago. So it's like very new to her. Like she's very new to even being in the gym. She just fell in love with it. Now she's competing. So I don't even have like gym rat friends. I don't really associate myself with anyone at the gyms. Yeah, I know it's weird. But I don't know. I think it's like most of the females that I work with too are exactly the same. Like they work out for their own, mental, or they want to look a certain way. When you get into the fitness industry and you're competing and stuff, it's a whole different world.
It's intense.
And I don't want to be part of that at all. I don't like it. It's just too intense. People are a little crazy. People start like the steroids and the calculating this and that. I don't care enough. Like I really don't. The whole point of it is to be sustainable. And I think like I personally know people who've competed before and they're, calculating to the T everything that they're putting in their body. And then the second they're done competing, they like gain like 20 pounds in like 1 week. And they're like, well, shit, now I'm depressed. And like, how do I get rid of it? And it's like, it's not sustainable. It's not. Like you want to make a lifestyle out of it. You want to, work out 5 days a week. Cool. Work out 5 days a week. If, you're having an off week and you only worked out 2-3 days, you're not beating yourself up for it. Or you wake up and you're, feeling some type of way and you want to like eat something bad or whatever. Fine. Like do your thing, but understand that you can't punish yourself. And I feel like so many people put a label on what they're eating. Oh, I'm on diet XYZ. It's like, you don't need to be on a diet. Just just be mindful of what you're putting in your body, like nutrient dense foods. Like that's why most of my plans, like, here are the numbers. You do whatever the hell you want with it. Like you plug in your food. It's like, I want people to experiment with it. You can go out to eat and still understand what you can eat, what you can't eat. It's like, again, a lifestyle. Like, and I think that's why I distanced myself from people who are very intense with it, because I'm not intense with it at all.
That's dope. I mean, so the craziest thing is, speaking of like bodybuilding and stuff, and the craziest thing is people that have like body dysmorphia, right? So they're looking at themselves. Is it called body dysmorphia? When you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you see like you're just like really fit, really in shape, but you just see the exact opposite.
Yes.
That's scary.
It is. And I think I really think that comes from people comparing themselves to other people. And I know, when you kind of sit down with yourself and you're like, okay, what do I want to look like? Or what do I want to do? What are my goals, like body goals, whatever? And you start going towards that, just like how you and I were just like never satisfied. But I think people have these unrealistic goals sometimes, and it's like, they're never satisfied and they just like want more. But I think people are just comparing themselves to a lot of these Instagram models they're edited. They're not real. And I mean, I had this conversation with one of my really good friends. I'm also releasing that video on YouTube. I swear to God, just give me a minute. I'm just still editing it.
You got to plug your YouTube in.
I know. But we talk about how these females will, like, these photographers will edit their bodies to go from like a size 8 to a size 0. And then somebody's looking at that and they're like, I need to look like that. I don't look like that. Yeah. It's like, it's because it's not real.
Mhm.
It's actually not a real body. So you're comparing yourself to somebody who's not real.
Mhm.
And I think that's where the body image issues come into play.
The worst part about it is when it's young girls. Like,
oh my God.
Yeah, like 10
it's getting
or
worse and
younger.
worse.
It really is
Like
bad.
they're so young. They're like, I'm ugly. I'm this. I'm like, do you know what I looked like when I was 10 years old? I thought I was still a boy.
Yeah.
I was like, I thought I was a what? I was like it's crazy.
I have a 7-year-old brother, and he literally gets like $45 haircuts at the same place I get my haircuts, and he's got like a line through his hair. He's got like a comb over. Shit, when I was getting the haircut, it would be like somewhere, like some bootleg place in Portchester
like
with
$10.
a bow, with a bow cut.
Oh my God. No, I think because I'm actually the oldest of I think like 16 grandchildren,
Mm-hmm.
16 of us. So yeah, I'm around a lot of younger girls, and they're all the same. Like it's Instagram and it's TikTok and it's these influencers that these girls are following, and they're like, I have to look like that. I'm like, you are 14 years old. You need to look like a child. Like, please simmer down. Like, it's not that big of a deal. But yeah, they have really bad body image issues, and the body shaming is insane. Like, people really get on Instagram who have no lives and just sit there and talk shit about other people. I'm like, do you have hobbies?
Yeah.
Do you have a life? Maybe they don't.
You know what my biggest fear is? Meeting like the perfect person, just an amazing girl. She's got everything I could ever ask, and then I find out that she talks shit on like athletes' photos. Yo, I swear.
Imagine she's this. They're like, this bitch, like, and you're like, what?
I could never. I mean, listen, I've had some low points in my life, but I have never like brought my body to grab my phone
and literally like put under somebody's picture something distasteful.
Like, I literally don't care who it is. Like,
yeah.
I just would never do that. Just ever in my life.
I know.
I comment on people's stuff, but I leave positive comments. Like, oh shit, like, you look great. Keep up the great work. Like, that kind of shit. Mm-hmm. Like, I could never. And I think that's so much better than...
You know what it is, though? It's easier for people to do that behind a phone, because they would never say that to somebody's face. Ever. They would never go up to that person that they're, saying all these things about over Instagram. They wouldn't go up to their face and say the exact same things. They wouldn't.
It's like, why?
I don't know. I feel like people have so much jealousy and hatred like built up inside of them that like that's their release. I have no idea. It's the only thing that makes sense though, because I think about that sometimes. I'm like, you guys don't really like have lives. Like, you guys don't have lives. You're just sitting there like just trolling people for no reason. Like, do you have a life? But they don't.
That's so scary. Like, I don't know. I see, like, we obviously just got through an election. I just see everybody arguing on social media.
Yeah.
I just feel like literally if you spent even half of that energy, like the way I look at life as you only have a certain amount of energy in a day, right? Mm. And, you wake up, you do all these things that you need to do, you go to work, that drains a certain amount of energy.
Right.
But fuck, like, you only have a certain number of energy left, and now you're literally spending all this negative energy on just other people and just bringing other people down.
It's so weird. And like, it takes more energy to be negative than it takes to be positive. I don't know. That is an answer I do not have for you, because I myself don't understand it. I've also gotten to a point with Instagram where I post and I get off. Like, once I start like really getting into Instagram and I'm like on somebody's dog's page, I'm like, what the hell am I doing? And I'm like, I have to get off of this, because then you look and now, my phone trolls me too, because it's like, so you've spent X amount of time on Instagram.
Much did you spend
and I'm
like, how much do you spend a day?
A day says average 2.5 to 3 hours.
Wait, what?
On Instagram.
Okay. What about in total?
Oh, I don't know.
All right.
It changes. Sometimes it's like 8 hours. Okay. Sometimes it's like 9. Sometimes I don't think it's ever been over 9 hours. So.
Okay. Well, I hit 10. And that was the line for me. That's like, I literally told my friends and they were like, what? They were like, what? I mean, they're like, you do social media for a living, so that's fair. But like, how? Like,
I know.
It doesn't make sense. So you talked a little bit about you and your friends discuss like, I guess, philosophical topics on life. Like, what are some of the things that you're contemplating, and some of the things that I guess Yeah, keep you up at night, I guess.
Oh my God. What keeps me up at night? So I actually have a really bad, like, I don't sleep.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, actually right now I've been sleeping, knock on wood. Like, I don't want to jinx that. But yeah, you ask anybody who knows me really, really well, they're like, Linda doesn't sleep. Like, I just don't. I don't know why. And I can't tell you that I think of like one particular thing. Like, it's not like this one thing that keeps me up. I just physically cannot sleep. My brain doesn't shut off.
It's just
like,
constantly going?
It's just, you'd think that I like took like a Red Bull before going to bed.
Really?
Or like a Monster or something. Yeah, it's very weird. And then sometimes I'll fall asleep at like 4 and then wake up at 6 and get ready for pretty bad. I know.
Damn.
And it doesn't help with my fitness goals, but it's been a part of my life since I was about 19. That's when my sleeping problems started. I was like about 19 years old when it started, and it's just part of my life now.
Have you tried meditating?
You name it, I've tried it.
Really?
When I say that this has been my life since I was 19, I've gone to neurologist,
wow.
I've gone to endocrinologist, I've tried holistic doctors, I've tried melatonins, I've tried. The only thing that I dabbled in sleeping pills, like prescribed sleeping pills. And after 2 nights, I was like, fuck this shit. I slept through my alarm. I missed my first client. I had every single one of my coworkers calling me. They're like, did you die? Because I'm always like a half hour early to work. Mm-hmm. Let alone completely just like miss my first appointment. And after that, I was like, fuck this. I'm not doing it. I was like, I don't want to even like dabble in them anymore.
What, damn, that's crazy. So I have the same issue, but not as bad. But I started meditating, and I don't know. I've been trying to meditate for a while. Some days it's just like I let my mind just completely wander, and I just get so distracted that I kind of just stop. But now I've been actually steadily doing it for probably the past 2 weeks.
You know, somebody got me into it's like a hypnosis, I want to say. His name is Michael Seeley. Mm-hmm. You can get him on like Spotify, and he has like different like hypnosis, and it helps me fall asleep. Like, don't get me wrong, I'll knock out, but I'll wake up like an hour later.
Really?
Yeah, it's like I've tried so many things that have helped me fall asleep, but nothing will keep me asleep except for actual prescription sleeping pills that I don't care. Wow. I'm 26 years old. I'm not dabbling in.
Do you get tired?
Pills. It's weird because like if I'm going on like day 4 or 5 of no sleep, I hit a wall and it's bad. Yeah, I'll get like migraines and like I'm dehydrated. Yeah, it's not good. But it's just been my life for so long. I don't think I've ever met somebody with the same type of sleeping problems. I've never met anybody.
That's fair.
And it's like weird when I tell people like I sleep like 8-9 hours, and I'm like, I think the last time I slept 8-9 hours is because I was like in high school or something.
Really?
Yeah. I don't even remember last time I slept that much.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I have sleeping issues, but they're obviously not as extreme as that.
Yeah.
But I mean, shit. I mean, you're operating through life. I mean, you're doing
I mean, it's weird because my siblings are always like, how do you do it? And I'm like, you just keep going.
Keep going.
Yeah, and I have to like wean off of caffeine for a little bit and then introduce it again, because sometimes I'll go on like 7 different forms of caffeine. Like I'll have 2 cups of coffee in the morning to just wake me up, and then I'll have another one around like 11 o'clock in the morning, and then I'll have like another one in the afternoon, like 2-3 o'clock, and then I'll have a like pre-workout before working out, which is like another 300 milligrams.
Yeah.
And yeah, it would keep me up. And then even when I would like wean off of caffeine and I would be off of it for even 2 weeks, still like sleeping problems. Like I stopped drinking coffee for about like 6 months, maybe even more. I think it might have been more than 6 months. The sleeping problems didn't go away. So I was like, okay, this is like something's going on up there. It's not shutting up. But yeah, I had to like introduce it back in. So I'll go in like, I don't know, cycles of my caffeine where I get rid of it and then I put it back into my diet. And then
you want to hear something crazy? This is always shocking to people. You mentioned drinking. You mentioned caffeine. I'm going on 3 years of never touching alcohol or caffeine.
That's amazing.
Or coffee. That's the thing.
That's amazing. Good for you.
And I don't drink sugar.
That is something that I'm so disciplined. Like I can put my mind to literally anything, and I've gone without the drinking and the caffeine and I just can't. Like, I think to myself, especially after like a long day, I'm like, I'm gonna go get a glass of water.
Really?
But
Yeah.
that's amazing. I mean, how do you feel?
I feel amazing. I feel great.
Is there a reason why you stopped?
Well, yeah, I don't know. It was just kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of distracting me. And I feel great. And people refer to like old Gary as like the drunk, crazy party animal Gary. And they're like, they almost don't recognize this new Gary, like that just doesn't drink. But no, I feel good. I mean, I feel mentally clear. Sometimes when I would drink, like I'm a very extreme person, right? So either I don't drink at all or I just go overboard not Monday through Friday, Thursday maybe through Saturday. And so I just go crazy.
Me.
Yeah.
I honestly but I go through phases. Sometimes I'm like, I don't even want to touch it. And I literally will forget that it even exists. But yeah, I kind of like that too. Like, I don't, there's this part of my brain that like doesn't know when to stop. And I can't control it. But I mean, it's whatever. I'm knock on wood again. It's never, been a problem. But yeah, no, it's definitely a part of my life. I actually have a lot of friends who've been sober for many years now. I have like 3 friends that are pretty close to me. I know a lot of people who are sober, but pretty close to me who've been sober for.
When you tell people
years.
like, oh,
and they're like 180, like
really?
When I always exactly what you said, like when you refer to like one specific person, I'm like, which version of that person are you referring to? Because they're both amazing.
Yeah.
One's slightly crazier than the other, but I get it.
That's so funny. And people, when you say like, oh yeah, I've been sober for 3 years, like, wow, you were an alcoholic before? It's just like, no, I actually know a lot of people who weren't alcoholics. They were just like, I'm just over it. Well, you have to understand though too, like it is a depressant. Mm-hmm.
So, and just like specific types of drugs, when you come down from that, you're going to be significantly sadder.
Yeah.
And like, that's why, so when I always say to myself, like, if I know I'm going to a birthday party or something or whatever, and I know I'm going to be drinking, I'm very mindful of what I have to do the next day or what I have to do for like the next few days. And I lock in to exactly what needs to be done in the next few days if I'm going to be drinking like that. Because that's the only thing, like, because in the next day when you're hungover and you're like upset and tired or whatever, like, stupid, you did this to yourself. Now get up and do what you got to do. It's almost like I'm constantly talking to myself and constantly like reprimanding myself. But I think that's like the most important thing is like understanding that you can have fun with it and you can, go and grab a drink with a friend. But once it starts becoming like a constant thing, it's going to start messing with your mental. And I think some people who aren't alcoholics, you know what I mean? But it was just that few times that like kind of messed with them that they're like, fuck, this is just not for me. And it's okay.
Yeah. You think we judge ourselves too hard?
We what?
We judge ourselves too hard. Just in general.
I don't know. I mean, what do you mean by that?
I guess the way I look at it is that you look at Instagram, you look at all these things, and like, because what brought that to my mind is you were talking about like almost like punishing you, like you're like, oh no, I shouldn't be doing this, and just like sometimes we look at Instagram, we look at all these external things that people portray, and they seem to be real, but they're really not, right? And so we look at ourselves and be like, why can't I be more like this person, or why can't?
Well, that's where. Okay, you want to get really, really deep, bro?
Let's do it. So this is the I Believe in the podcast. This is what we do.
This is what we do. So when you start this journey of self-love, it's a very long, tiresome journey. There's a lot of us, they say like the journey of success and it's like this, that's also the journey of learning how to love yourself and learning the worst parts about yourself, forgiving yourself for the past, going forward and loving the deepest parts of your brain, knowing what ticks you off, knowing what makes you happy, like really, really, really getting comfortable with who you are and yourself is it's a very long journey. And I think a lot of people don't even embark on that journey. And I think if there's one thing that as humans, while we're alive, chase your dreams, try and make your money, whatever, go on that journey to thoroughly love yourself, because there is nothing more rewarding than being able to look at somebody and not judge yourself. And not even in a sense of like, I'm better, not even in that sense at all. It's just that like, I'm very happy for that person. Like, cool, moving on. Okay, like it doesn't even faze you. You're not looking like, having to judge yourself in that sense doesn't even exist anymore. It's such a distant memory. And like, when you start this journey, there's so many different phases. And the second you like finish that next phase, you're like, I just learned something else now. And I gotta practice this now. It's never, ever, ever ending, but it is so liberating when you like thoroughly learn about yourself, and like I said, like learn how to respond to people, and like learn how to be a better person, and really love everything about you. It's the greatest journey I think anybody will go on. That judging yourself and being hard on yourself will no longer exist other than you just wanting to be a better person for yourself. You know what I mean? Like if you're like, when I say like, you know, I'm, you know, being hard on myself, it's because I know that I can be better for myself. Like I know that, you know, what I'm doing right now and where I want to be requires a certain amount of, you know, attention to myself. You know what I mean? It has nothing to do about anybody else except for just being a better person for you. And I think once somebody thoroughly grasps that, they're always going to be comparing themselves to other people. And a lot of people don't even know where to start. And I think we need more podcasts on how to begin loving yourself and loving everything about yourself. And that's one of the reasons why I started Lifestyle Linda, is to create this version of yourself that is yours. It's nobody else's. You can't compare this to anyone else. It's literally made for you. And the emotional, you know, mental journey that you go through when you're disciplined, like when you're working out, and discipline alone, it teaches you so much about yourself. You know what I mean? You realize like, holy shit, I'm actually very mentally strong. And I didn't know that, like, if I just stick to it, I can get here. Cool. Okay. What else can I do? It's literally the beginning. It's like literally the tiniest little beginning of your self-love journey. So that's how it started for me. That's literally how it started for me. And it was the gym. Like I said, it's cheaper than therapy. You know what I mean? And once you kind of, like I said, get to that point, like you stop taking shit from anybody. You don't care that somebody is talking about XYZ about you. Like
you also don't even surround yourself with those type of people.
Oh, absolutely.
Put yourself in those positions to even, I don't know, hear those people's
right.
opinions.
And 90% of my friends are exactly like this, because you are what you attract. You know what I mean? Like, sure, you've practiced the law of attraction. You know what I mean? Like, you are what you attract, and you can kind of, especially if you're intuitive, you can kind of navigate around certain people. Like, I don't want that energy, so like, I don't have to be friends with them. You know what I mean? Or I don't have to be liked by them. You just move on. But yeah, no, I'm really lucky that most of my friends think exactly like this. So
that's awesome. I mean, talking about energy, like you could automatically sense who is almost on your vibration.
Oh, definitely. 100%. It's like an aura.
It is, isn't it?
It's an aura.
It's dope. I really like it. I really like it because you automatically, like, sometimes when I talk about really deep shit, like this conversation, right? This would go over so many people's fucking heads. You know what I mean?
Try dating. when you start, okay, I don't date anymore because I just don't like, you know, like people like start like the dating apps and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Hell no, I can't. I'm way too deep for motherfuckers.
But you also said that like, you're not emotional.
I'm not, but like I need to have this type of conversation. I need to explore somebody's brain. I need to know what ticks you off. I need to know how you think. Like when it comes to, there's something very attractive to somebody who's very disciplined and like I said, has gone through that journey. Like I can't be with somebody who isn't on this type of wavelength, who hasn't gone through that spiritual journey with themselves. Like,
Mhm.
I can't do it. Like, you see right through it, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? And you're like, I'm not here to, I don't want to teach you. Like, I can't be here and like teach this.
But you also can't teach somebody who doesn't even learn, who doesn't even understand what to learn. Do you know what I mean?
It's
For
a
some
lot
people
though.
that have
It's
it
a
or don't.
lot. It's heavy.
It is.
It is. And it's like, I don't know. I think everybody has their own traumas that they've gone through or their own problems that, you know, they're still dealing with or don't know how to navigate around. It's like, I think the worst thing that we can do, especially as females, and I can't talk for men because I'm not a male, but as females, when you are strong-minded like that and you do have that in you and you tend to attract broken people. And what happens is they start draining that and you just want to help. And it's like, at that point, like, be a mentor, not try and be a girlfriend to this person, because it never, ever, ever works out. And that's just from my own experiences, watching all my friends go through it. I'm like, it's literally textbook. It's not going to work. You know what I mean? And I think that's why where I am in like my life right now, my love is this, like what I'm doing. I don't really have time. I don't have time to go explore somebody else's brain and make sure that they're on the same wavelength.
Why do you think a lot of women specifically want to repair a lot of the broken guys? What do you think it is?
I think it's many different reasons. I think it really depends on the type of person. You know, I know some women who just have very severe insecurities and get caught up in that kind of stuff. And they're like, no, I love him. They're like, he's clearly using you. You know what I mean? I think it's just so many different reasons why somebody would get wrapped up. Like, hey, I know, you know, men who have been in those type of situations too, you know, but I think just speaking as a female, we get caught up in a lot of that because we don't know any better. You know what I mean? And we're human and we come from a world where you're a female, you meet a male, or, you know, you meet another female or whatever whatever your orientation is. And you, like, it's just natural for us to want to be with somebody else. And I think, you know, we live in such a fucked up culture, like a fucked up hookup culture right now, that it's like, when somebody gives you like that little tiny bit of like interest or like can have that deep conversation with you, you cling to it. You know what I mean? And then you have like rose-colored glasses on, like nothing really, like you don't start seeing certain signs that are clearly like, okay, well, like he's emotionally abusive or, you know, whatever the case may be. And I think a lot of people get sucked into that because it's like, oh, he's giving me attention. And like, I've been dating for XYZ, like 5 years and I haven't even had this. So I'm going to sacrifice all this emotional, you know, baggage just because like this person wants to be with me. And this literally goes directly back to exactly what I was just saying, because if you're a full circle, if you are 100% comfortable with yourself, you know for a fact, you're like, I'm not dealing with that shit. Yeah. No, I'm sorry, but you got to go fix that because I'm not fixing it.
Okay, is that weird that I'm exactly like that?
No, it's not weird. So again, you are what you attract. You know what I mean? Like a lot of my friends are exactly like that. And listen, it made me bitter for a very long time. I'm now, as of like a month ago, I'm learning to channel this positive energy because it makes you so bitter for, I don't know if it made you bitter, but it made me so bitter because it was like, I realized people just waste your time. And I hate my time being wasted. Yeah. I hate it. That's why I don't date. Because I'm like, if I go on this date and it was lame or it was awful, I'm like, there goes like a couple hours out of my day. I don't have time for this. I'm not doing it. I'll do this when I'm ready to like waste time. Because I just, it's true though. Think about it. It's like everybody's like a serial dater. Like you go onto a dating app, you're not talking to one person. Yeah. You're talking to multiple different people. So many of my friends are like, so I have like 7 dates this week. And I'm like, how do you have the energy for that? Or like, what do you guys talk about? Like, do you have the same conversation with every single person? Like, what goes on? But what were we just talking about?
Okay. So we were talking about how you don't like your time being wasted.
Yeah.
And I'm the same way. So going back to that, as soon as I see like a big red flag, I'm just like, shit. This person's got to figure their own shit out before me because
like
not that
you don't want to fix this. It's like it's hard. And that's why I think everybody, instead of trying to find your significant other, find yourself. Like you really truly can't thoroughly love everything about somebody until you have thoroughly loved yourself first. Like, and that's just a fact. You know what I mean? Like, and I think going back to what we were saying, like I became like very bitter in a sense of like, I just wish like people thought in that way, like, why aren't you putting yourself first? Like, why are you putting somebody else first? Like, why are you thinking that way? Like, use your head. Like, especially like females who are like, you know, he treats me like shit. I just really want to have like a child with him. Like, I need a child. You'll be surprised as how many you'll be surprised as how many times you hear that and you're just like, what? There are, especially females, we are very emotional creatures. And I think if everybody just put themselves first before actually dating, it'd be a lot easier for everybody. And just really laying everything out on the table, like that first time. That's the other thing. Like, I'm so intimidating. Like on the first day, I'm like, so this is how I am, and this is what I expect. Like, what's up? You know what I mean?
And I won't settle for anything less.
Right? It's like, and if you don't understand that, do not waste my time. I have to go. Like, I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? And I think it becomes, like I said, it started making me bitter, and I was like, I just hate everything. I hated everything. I hated everyone. It was weird.
What are some of those deal breakers that you tell people?
I can't be with somebody who doesn't understand my sarcastic humor. I'm extreme.
That's fair.
I am so disgustingly sarcastic in sometimes worst possible times. That like if you can't pick up on that and like just ride that one out or like figure it out or like bounce off that, I know that sounds crazy, but it's a deal breaker.
No, that's right. No, that's 100%
it's literally a deal breaker. I don't know. I don't think, I don't like people who are like conceited. Like, I think that is a number one, like a know-it-all. Like I've gone on dates with like people who were like on paper, I'm like, you are exactly what I'm looking for. And then you'd go on a date and you're like, so the other day I went to the gym. That's where you went. You went to the gym. And I'm like, well, maybe if I like finish my sentence, you would know exactly what I'm about to say. Like, I hate when people are like that. So that's usually a deal breaker. I feel like you can kind of feel somebody's energy as soon as you meet them. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
fine.
Even like the first few sentences that somebody says to you, you can kind of like pick up on the type of person
this is not going to work, or this is going to work.
Or like, oh, I like this energy.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I don't like the online dating, because I can't, it's so superficial. It's like, okay, well, let me like swipe on somebody's picture. What? What? How do you even know like what this person is like? Like, I know that, you know, physical attraction is like number one. Like, you want to be physically attracted to this person, but it's like, how many times oh my God, the amount of girls that have gone out with guys who are insanely attractive, and they're like, so there's like absolutely nothing going on upstairs. Like,
the lights were on, but nobody was home.
No one was home. And you're just like, well, right. And then they're like, so, but I'm going to go on a second date because he's so hot. And it's like,
really?
Okay, go waste your time.
So how much do looks play into it versus just personality wise?
For me?
I guess, for you, or in general, just for girls, though. You're friends with and that you
I don't know. I think, like I always joke around, my friends will say that I have a type. I personally don't think I have a type. But I think most girls have a type. Like, they are attracted to a type of person. Like, now that I'm 26, I'm starting to actually figure out that I actually do have a type when it comes to personality wise. Okay. I don't think that I have like this image of what I need this personality to be attached to. Like, I'm not saying like, oh my God, I want to be attracted to this person, but I don't think I'm like, again, I'm not into like the gym rats. Like if you're huge, I'm not going to talk to you. I don't know why, but I'm always like, oh, okay. Which is so surprising to people because they're like, you don't date like bodybuilders. I'm like, I would never.
Really?
Never.
Well, you don't like, yeah, you told me that.
Oh my God, no, I can't. But I don't think it's more so like a physical thing for me. I think that comes with me being attracted to somebody's personality. And if I'm attracted to somebody's personality, which is very rare, like very rare, it like I would imagine that when that time comes, I'm gonna be attracted to this person.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense.
But I don't know. I think every girl kind of like they have like a type, like you know. And I think physical attraction is important. You know what I mean? You want to be physically attracted to the person that you're with, but like there again, like so many girls who are with people who treat them like shit, but they just love the way that their face looks.
Yeah, that's scary.
It is.
No, you're right, and that makes sense. And one of the things that's important to me is being able to have like deep conversations with people because I'm constantly going and I have so much like on my mind that I want to be able to share that with somebody. Yeah. And I want to be able to hear something.
But you have to be careful though, because like if you lay that out on the table with somebody, like on the first date, they're like, this person's crazy.
I'll leave it to that. But you get what I mean. But yeah, you're probably right. They do. I don't know. It is what it is.
Honestly, I've come to a point where I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like, I just lay it on the table. And if you're intimidated by that, by all means, I'm happy that you're intimidated by it and you can go.
You might as well. Yeah, it's better that it was on the first date than the fucking when you guys get married.
Right. I'm telling you, don't waste my time. I don't like time.
100%. And something that I've actually been focusing on is building myself. And what's meant for me is meant for me.
Right.
Do you know, does that make sense?
Of course.
Like, whatever is meant for me will come to me as long as I focus on building myself, being happy, focus on the things that are important to me. Because at the end of the day, if you're constantly chasing and you're like, oh, you know, you're thirsty, girls and guys and whoever, they sense that. And they sense desperation. And nobody likes somebody that's desperate, right? Nope. At the end of the day, you want to be able to create somebody that you want to be proud of. And at the end of the day, people will be attracted to you.
Of course. Well, like, full circle. when you thoroughly love who you are, you carry yourself in a very different way too. Like, I'm not the greatest looking person in the world. I'm probably shorter than the average. The way that I carry myself will sometimes be more attractive than the most attractive person in the entire room. Because it's like, it's more, I have some friends who are absolutely drop dead gorgeous. Like literally sometimes I'm like, don't fucking stand next to me because you're just a little too good looking, but they are so insecure. It's unreal.
So, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So what kind of inspired you to finally kind of put down these walls and be able to be more vulnerable? Because I think a lot of times for guys, I can speak for guys, we have trouble being vulnerable. And what I do is I look at being vulnerable as a strength, right? I look at being able to express yourself to the right people in the right ways properly and being able to communicate like correctly. This is how I'm feeling. This is why I'm feeling.
It's so important.
And I think it's so important because what a lot of guys do is they feel like that's a weakness. And I think one of the best things about like the whole progressive movement in that direction is the fact that guys are like, okay, I can be vulnerable. Right. I can go to therapy. I can talk to people.
And it's actually very attractive when you can talk about your feelings.
Exactly.
It's like the number one problem in dating.
Yeah.
Is not being able to communicate. Like, how can you be in a relationship without being able to communicate? But I'm sorry, continue.
No, you're right. 100%. And I think that makes sense. But I think for guys, it was just this huge stigma of not being able to show their feelings and not being able to express themselves. And I think finally guys are doing that. And I think that's dope. I think that's amazing. I think because one, that makes relationships healthier. Two, you're not you're not taking it out in toxic ways, right? Like, for example, guys before would hold in all their anger, hold in all their emotion, and then go out drinking, or they blow up on their girlfriend or fiance. And you know, you don't want to see that, right? And so I don't know. I just think that's amazing, and I'm happy that like you're shining a light on that sense. With
I think
women.
It's so important, and you know, I think again, like, you are what you attract. I'm starting to meet males who are very successful,
Mm.
very good looking, very like know what they want, who are so vocal about their emotions, who are they're very much like, no, you shouldn't be doing that, or like, I feel this way, or like, no, I wouldn't do that because XYZ. And it's like, they're very vocal about it. And you're just like, it makes them hotter. Like, it literally makes you even more attractive when you're able to sit down and have, you know, a very serious conversation. It's a hard conversation to have. Not many people can even have the conversation with themselves. So it's like, how can you have this conversation with another female that you're potentially trying to like be with when you don't even know how to have this conversation with yourself? So it's not an easy conversation to have, especially like being vulnerable. Like, it's just, people associate it with like weakness. And, you know, I think it's so important to recognize it as an importance. Like, it should be of importance in your relationship with yourself. Like, it's just important.
And I think that's one of the biggest reasons where people have trouble with this whole self-love thing is they don't want to go deep enough because there's so many scars there from the past, anxieties about the future, and they feel that they're so damaged in a certain way, or they feel that there's something wrong with them. So they don't even want to look into it, like go that
They'd
deep.
rather stay in their comfort zone. So I always look at it like this. And I've looked at it like this for like a few years now. And I think it's a pretty good analogy. If you're here, like you're standing right here, and you want to get to this ultimate happiness, which is over the wall. It's just over this wall. You know what I mean? And, you know, it's a self-love. It's this, you know, higher self, like literally it's like a higher self. You have to go through shit. You have to go through periods of time where you're going to be uncomfortable. You're going to go through periods of time where you're, you know, stressed and sad and whatever the case may be. Not everybody wants to go through that. People will look at that and be like, you know, it's not worth it to me. So I'm going to stay exactly where I'm comfortable. I'm going to stay right here because although these problems are, you know, problems, they're not that bad. I don't want to go through worse things in order to get to the other side. Because that's essentially what it is. Like I said, like the graph of like self-love is just like that graph that everybody shows with like the success, and it's like, bleh. It's the same exact thing when it comes to like self-love. Not everyone wants to do that. Not everybody wants to be successful. You can't force somebody to embark in this journey of self-love. It is hard. It is not easy. It's, you know, sleepless nights. It's navigating around certain things. Why am I feeling this way? Let me actually feel this. Let me feel these feelings. It's not easy. And you can't expect everyone to be comfortable with doing that. You know what I mean? Because it's like, one, they don't know how, or they don't have the proper guidance, or whatever the case may be. But that's how I always looked at it. Like, you're here and you want to get here. You got to go through some shit. Or you can stay exactly where you are.
But then you get those mediocre results, right? So you have to be okay. Like, if you're not going to go through some shit, then you just have to be okay with mediocre results. If you go through shit, you're like, all right, there's potential gold on this side. You know what I mean? Like, especially like me, you know, like right now, the hardest part is just getting started with something.
100%.
Right? Like right now, I started a podcast. I started my own business of I Believe in Me. I just genuinely in my heart, with every fiber of my being, know that this is going to be big.
Absolutely.
And this is something that, it's something that I know that is like, it promotes positivity. I Believe in Me. It's just something that people need. It's a clothing brand. It's more than that. And it's a podcast. And there's so many things that I can do with it. And I'm super excited. And I want to get more people on here where I can talk about different ideas and stuff like that. But anyway, my point is that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And sometimes starting is the most difficult part, right? So like, you have people that don't believe in you. You have like different type of obstacles that are put in your way. Right. And so if you never go through that and you just, let's say, work a 9 to 5 and you work something where you're not passionate about, that has its own misery, but you're I mean, I guess
but
the
it's
reward
a
isn't that
comfort.
big.
I'm telling you, it's a comfort. Like, and that is another, when I say like this bitterness that started and I'm like, why doesn't everybody have this drive? Why doesn't everybody want to be like this? you can't expect everybody to want that. You know what I mean? And just like religious beliefs, you're not going to push those beliefs on everybody. You're not going to walk around and be like, so this is why I think you should be Christian. And you're not going to do that. You know what I mean?
You're right.
It's the same because it's uncomfortable. I know it sounds weird, but until we normalize this conversation, until this becomes a normal conversation to have with just anybody, it is an uncomfortable conversation to have with certain people. Certain people don't understand it. So certain people don't even give a shit. Like, they don't care. They don't want to even think about it. You know what I mean? But I mean, you'll know those type of people, especially like that initial conversation that you have with somebody. Like, you know, what is that quote? It's like, how do you know when somebody's a vegan? Don't worry, they're going to tell you.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you know somebody's spiritual? Don't worry, they're going to tell you. Like, you'll pick up on that. And I think it's just like, you can't expect everybody to want to take this leap. Some people are very like, woe is me. And that's what they live on. And they're
Say
just
that again? What does
like,
that mean?
it's just like my life is just like this. And it's, you know, it's like the Eeyores, you know what I mean? And they want to be there. Let them. Who cares? Until you come to me and you say, Linda, I need you to help me get to this point, by all means. But I'm never going to look at Eeyore and be like, let me show you the way. You know what I mean? I just can't. That is an energy that you can't exert because that person might absorb as much as they can and it'll go in one ear and out the other. And then you're sitting there, you're like, shit. You know what I mean? And I want to do that as much as I can. But dude, when you're an empath and you really are so passionate about something, you fucking take that shit personal. And another thing that I'm learning about, like I said, this spiritual journey is like stages. Every single time there's like a new thing that comes along, new thing that you need to work on. But you can't force everybody to want to get to this other side. You can't force everybody to want to be successful or have, you know, whatever success you think I'm talking about, whatever. You know what I mean? You can't force anybody to embark on this very difficult journey because it is a difficult journey. And the number one thing is facing your problems, facing your fears, facing your vulnerability, like fixing yourself. You know what I mean? Because what happens is when you don't fix certain things about yourself or forgive yourself or your past or whatever, it's going to bleed into other people, into your relationships. It comes back until you fix that and you literally sit down with yourself and you fix that about yourself. It's going to haunt you and it's going to keep surfacing. It's going to keep happening. But a lot of people would rather just stay there. You know what I mean? They'd rather just stay there. They'd rather it affect their relationships. They'd rather it, instead of dealing with it, facing it. That is not something that you can force on somebody though, unfortunately.
No, you're right. And the worst thing that you can do is go through those experiences, not deal with it, and then take it out on other people.
Oh, 100%.
I think that's so horrible and just disgusting in a lot of ways. And I think that's disgusting because you're basically hurting a lot of people that care about you and they only want what's best for you, and you not facing your fears and you not going out, seeking help or just internally having these conversations, you meditating on
therapy is a thing. Everybody's in therapy. Like it's not like a bad thing. Like
no.
Seek therapy. You know what I mean? Like it's so important to be able to talk to somebody about your problems. And I think, you know, like that fear of men being vulnerable or the fear of females being vulnerable is because they can't be vulnerable with themselves. Like it's uncomfortable. Like I said, it's an uncomfortable thing. You can't just expect to like, you know, anybody to be okay with it. It's just not. It's like I said, until you normalize this type of conversation, it's always going to be like, you got to tiptoe around it, you know?
Yeah. And this goes for anybody, honestly. If you are vulnerable with somebody and you find them that they're judging you based on what like you're saying and what your feelings are, I mean, that's somebody that you shouldn't be having in your life. Right. Yes. It's like, what's that quote? Those who mind don't matter, and those who don't mind, I don't know.
Matter.
Yeah, whatever. Basically in that sense. No, and you're right. You're 100% right. And I think it's important to seek help, know when to seek help, and then also have good friends to surround yourself with who can have these discussions. So I think that's important.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's a lot. You know what I mean? It's a lot. But I think, just like you said, the first step is getting started. Or like if you notice that there's a certain type of pattern going on in your life that's negative, you need to break the cycle. Mm-hmm. And the first step is recognizing that there's an issue. You know what I mean? And then navigating how to fix that. But if you don't fix that, that fear of vulnerability, like that bleeding into other things is just going to continuously happen until you fix that. And just goes back to everything that we were saying, like learning everything about yourself, learning to love yourself, the bad, the good, everything. And it's like, until you sit down and have that conversation with yourself, you can't really get started. Mm-hmm. So
what you mentioned empath. What's like the definition of an empath?
So I mean, I wouldn't consider myself so much of an empath. Mm-hmm. Like maybe when I was like younger, but it's like for example, like you tell me your problems, and I hold very, very dear to your problems. I won't be able to sleep tonight because of your problems.
Oh, that's like my grandma. Shout out to my grandma. I love you, grandma. Dude,
she like all grandmas are like that.
She is so like that. And honestly,
you feel other people's feelings. As I got older though, I was able to shut that off. It's really? Like a switch. Yeah, like a switch. But when I feel very, very deeply for somebody, or really want somebody to like be successful, or I really want to like help somebody, I get so enveloped in it that like I feel that. You know what I mean? Like you can feel that. On it. Yeah. And like you can feel that. Like you can feel what they're feeling. And it's heavy. Like it's a very heavy feeling to be able to feel other people's feelings. It's a lot of feelings. Yeah. It's a lot of feelings.
It's a lot of feelings for somebody like you who says you don't have a lot of feelings.
I have feelings, okay? I'm human. We all have feelings. All of us have feelings.
Some more than others, for sure. But definitely. Yeah. But no, this makes sense. And I think this is a conversation that a lot of people needed to hear.
I think so too. And I think especially females, like, just because a guy is not being vulnerable with you, sometimes when you're very open with what you want, like you lay it down, like this is exactly what I want in life, this is what I'm looking for, this is who I am, and if that person's not on that journey, like I know I say like if somebody approaches me and they're not on the same journey, I'm like, bye, that's just me. But if you're finding yourself with somebody and you're kind of telling them exactly what you want, guys are very simple creatures and they'll pick up on that. Like they'll pick up on that type of energy, and you give them a sense of comfort and they'll start exploring that with themselves. They'll be like, okay, I like this about this person. I like that they know exactly what they want. I like the confidence that this girl has, you know what I mean? Like you almost set this groundwork of like comfort, you know what I mean? And I think that's when a guy would be comfortable to be vulnerable and talk about their feelings. But again, I mean, that truly starts with them and their own brain. But I don't know. I think once everybody goes on their own spiritual journey, it's always going to be a problem, especially in the dating world today.
I think more people have become spiritual.
I think so too. Yeah. I'm meeting a lot more people who are like very like-minded. Books help a lot.
I have a few.
I know. I'm swearing at them. Think and Grow Rich is great. Yeah. I think I've read it like 3 times already.
What are some of the books that you read?
I read a lot of neurological and psychological books. Really? When I first started reading, I was sickly obsessed with the brain. Really? And I had this thing where, don't make fun of me, but I was like, I need to learn how to control somebody else's brain. Not my own, somebody else's. I want to learn how to control somebody else's emotions around me. I want to learn how to control somebody else's energy around me. So I became sickly fascinated with the brain. Like I started reading a lot of like Malcolm Gladwell books. And like, I don't know if you've ever read any.
I've heard of him. I haven't read them.
A lot of his books are very similar. They're kind of like, they almost like tie into one another. So you could probably like read 2, 3 and kind of get the gist of it. That's where it started for me. And then there's this one book that I read. It's called The Brain That Changes Itself. And it talks a lot about disorders of the brain and how to control your brain when you have certain disorders. And that I was just like, holy shit, I need to read this. Like, you can control your brain when you're stressed. You can control your brain when you're depressed. Like, how? Like, why isn't everybody reading this book?
Mm-hmm.
And that was an absolute life-changing book for me. It's not an easy read, though. I will say, like, the book that I had next to me, writing down all the words that I did not understand and had to, like, define, it's not an easy read. Like, it's not at all, but it gives you a very different perspective of, I don't even know how to explain it, like, how you can control your emotions.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, contain your thoughts, like, before you think of acting a certain way, you really stop and really, really learn to analyze every single thing before you react to something. It's just, it's a fascinating book. And I think, like I said, it's not an easy read, but I'm fascinated with books like that. And I think when you start reading books like that, like, you know, The Secret, my dad forced the book The Secret on us my whole entire life. I'm rolling my eyes because if he's ever going to watch this, he's like, I told you that book. I told you that book is life-changing. It is. I've read it many, many times. And sometimes when I find that I'm like feeling some type of way, I actually reread it. It's actually really good to reread certain books that get you back on track. But that kind of kickstarted it. I was 16 years old when I read that book. I was very young. That's a law of attraction. Imagine I was like 16-year-old running around back then, 10 years ago, saying like law of attraction. You're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, like, what do you mean?
What do you mean? As we're now, it's like everybody says it. Like, everybody understands it. Everybody's applying it to their life.
Most people are.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people are. And
there's a lot of people that think it's hoopla, though, and like just completely.
And that's their problem. I don't
Yeah, that's right. No, I agree with you.
Listen, and they deal with their problems in a completely different way. That's fine, but like,
I find that those people are very black and white. Like, this is the problem, this is the solution.
Oh, 100%. They love math.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
It's just a joke that I always have. I'm like, people who aren't that spiritual are very like black and white, and they love math.
That makes sense because I failed math every single in high school and college.
Yeah. People who like math are kind of weird. Just I'm kidding, but
not really.
But once you start reading certain books that spark certain feelings, or like this, how do I
feeling that you get?
Yeah, it's almost like I could do that. Like encouragement almost to like start. Books are a great tool in order to really navigate feelings that you don't even understand, or you don't even know how to vocalize. Like, when you read about it, or you read other people's stories, or you listen to other people's stories, you might be able to relate to something that'll help you begin that journey. You know what I mean? Like, whatever your mental blocks may be, you can find it in books. Like, you can find somebody who's gone through the same exact thing that you have, and it's in a podcast somewhere, it is in a book somewhere, it's in a blog somewhere, somebody has gone through it, and you can sympathize with somebody. But certain books will help you understand different things about yourself. And I think the whole like motivational books, I started with the motivational books, and now I'm like, I don't even care about the motivational books because I'm already there. Like I said, like, this journey literally comes in stages. And like, certain books, like, I guess, like, serve like a specific type of purpose for that stage that you're in. You know what I mean? And yeah, I started becoming like sickly obsessed with the brain and how it works.
No, that's awesome.
And I was so fascinated. Like, I can control somebody else's feelings, or like, I can read somebody's energy the second I walk into the room, of how they're standing, how they're looking at you, their hand movements, how they're like, everything. You can pick up on everything. And I think that was so important to me because I didn't want to exert energy into somebody. And I'm not talking in a romantic way. I'm just talking even like as a friend. I didn't want to exert energy into somebody that I thought was not like a genuine person. You know what I mean? And I think that was so important to me, to be able to walk into a room and know exactly what type of person that person was. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but my intuitive is so spot on.
Mhm.
I've almost never been wrong about somebody. And it's funny because, shout out my dad again, we would always joke around growing up because my dad would just meet a friend. Like, first initial, like, meet. And I'd be like, this is the type of person this kid is. I'd be like, this is my best friend. What do you mean? Like 6 months, a year later, is like exactly who my father said it would be. Or like, you know, his friends, or like, we would always joke around and be like, Dad literally, he is never wrong about a person. And it was because my father also was obsessed with, you know, being able to read like little gestures, listening. When you listen to somebody, like, you know, like some people just, they're not listening. They're just waiting for you to finish talking so they can continue
that
talking.
sucks. Yeah. And I'm really,
So
like, I guess that's the one thing that's really, really nice about having a podcast, is the fact that I'm really listening to what guests are saying, what you're saying, and really trying to ask questions that I think people need the answers to.
Absolutely.
And some of those things like self-exploration, whether it's about fitness, whether it's about anything. And so there's a lot of people that, in arguments specifically, they don't listen to understand, they listen to respond.
Yes, exactly. And I think I don't know, there are a lot of people that you come across that are like that, but again, you start picking up on that kind of stuff, like especially when you're sitting next to somebody and you start talking and you can just tell by their responses, you're like, you're not even listening.
You know what I hate? I hate small talk.
What is small talk? I don't even know how to have small talk.
Okay, small talk.
Like, what is small? Like, oh, the weather.
Yeah, literally. Okay, so small talk is literally like on a first date being like, so, how's your ride here? How's the weather? What's your favorite color? Like,
I guess small talk is appropriate.
That's appropriate.
On a first date when you first meet somebody. I think like the first like few minutes,
I haven't been on a first date in a while, so I don't really know.
Yeah,
that's not true. It's just been like, I don't know. That's fair.
You know what I mean? Like, I think you can kind of navigate a conversation through small talk. Yeah, I think you really, really can.
I think you can, but ultimately the goal is to get into the person's psyche and
I mean that's you know, that's a lot though. It's a lot. And but the thing is, you have to you have to really be into this person, or like have some type of vibe in the beginning to even figure that out. Like there are certain things that somebody will say to you that you're just like, whoa, hold up. Did you just say that? Okay. Like I need to sit and talk to you. I need to figure this out. And I think as I, you know, again, when you start feeling a certain way, or you start exercising certain things about yourself, you start attracting that, you know what I mean? Like, and I recently meet certain people that I'm absolutely fascinated with. Like most of my friends are like in their 50s. Like most, it's like really one of my best friends. I love her to death. She 100% will never listen to this, but she is like a corporate lawyer. She is one of the most like powerful women in investment banking. I mean, she is so powerful, and I'm fascinated with this human. Like she's like one of my best friends. Like I can call her up and be like, can you kidnap me for the weekend? And we would like spend the whole weekend, and I just like sit there and I just pick at her brain. You know what I mean?
Really?
Oh my God, totally.
That's so fascinating. That's awesome.
Totally. It's like awesome. She's literally one of my absolute best friends. And I have this other friend, he's like 57, and I go to him for everything if I'm feeling some type of way. And he's just very nonchalant. He's like, this, that, other. And I'm just like,
really?
Gotta go. Thank you.
So he's very
Thanks,
logical.
mentor.
He's very logical.
Very logical. And so like I love that. You know what I mean? I love being able to, you know, connect with certain people and learn from people. But I think again, you are what you attract. So when you have that in you, you start meeting people who are like-minded and begin to fascinate you. And I recently met somebody who has really sparked this interest in me of being a better person. Okay. Just really like, I think we get so caught up in like me, get better. But it's like, and be successful, make your money, and this, that, and the other, that we don't stop and think like, I just want to be a nice person and like just be like actually nice. And that was literally, so weird that this was an issue for me.
Yeah,
but just
I mean, that's interesting. That's interesting.
Initially, be a nice person. Whenever somebody approaches me, like, get out of my face. They're like, what? I'm like, please get out of my face. Thank you.
Has that always been that through your life, or is it has been through these walls that we? As
so I was always like hi, can I talk to you? Like, let's explore your brain. To like getting hurt so many times and like that being abused, to me becoming an absolute B word,
which is so common for a lot of people.
So I became so bitter, so bitter, and now I'm with all the information that I have in this, newfound love for myself. I am learning to be a better person. When you first meet me, it's a vulnerable thing.
It is.
It's like that first initial vulnerability. Like I have to assess this person before I, because I'll read somebody and not vibe with them at all. You'll never learn anything about me. You'll never, ever be able to tap into my brain. I won't let that person.
But then that person's not for you.
Right. But I mean, it never goes past like the first initial meeting anyway. But I'm saying like that wall that I put up is like enough for me to ask certain questions to know what type of person this is before I, really invest myself emotionally into somebody. And I think I'm learning how to take that wall and just be a little bit more welcoming with people and making people feel comfortable around me. That makes sense.
No, that's
I'm just tired of the whole like, when I first met you, I thought you were a bitch. Like, I just want to be a better version of myself.
No, that's fair. That's 100% fair, and I think that goes for a lot of people that put up those walls. I think guys and girls. But and I think those walls we put up to protect ourselves, right? And so we almost vet people based on some of these questions. Like first we're super standoffish, right? And we're just like, okay, like are you trying to get one on me? Like what are you trying to do exactly? And so when you ask these questions, you get more comfortable with somebody. And you're like, oh, this person isn't so bad after all.
Right.
No, I think.
And so I'm learning how to change that first initial meeting. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's like something new that I'm working on, but I'll let you know how it goes. But I mean, I don't know. I think it's a never ending journey.
No.
It's never ending. I mean, I'm always constantly learning new things. I'm trying to read something else, and like you said before, it's like sometimes you just need to stop and just enjoy the journey.
And just enjoy life. And we put so much pressure on ourselves. I do. I know that I do. And that's something I'm working on. Is I put so much pressure on myself. Like I really feel like I manifested all of this. Like living on my own, away from my parents, starting this company. 3 years ago when I had nothing. And I told you a little bit about the trademark agreement that I had. Somebody else had a similar trademark as me. And so I had nothing. And every lawyer kept telling me, it's like, listen, kid, don't get your hopes up, like the chances of you winning this trademark battle are like 30%. And so like I really feel like I manifested it almost through anxiety, like just like I gotta get this, and it's like fucking jackrabbit. Like, and now I've reached a point where it's like, yo, just chill the fuck out, just enjoy your life, enjoy the journey, and I don't know, that's something that I'm personally working on.
One piece of advice that I got from somebody I met many years ago, very, very, very successful human being. I remember he was in town. I went to go grab a drink with him, and I was very fascinated with this person. So I was just like, how the fuck did you become this successful? You know what I mean? He's just such a cool dude, like so chill. I can't tell you who he is. I'm sorry.
That's fair.
And I go, how was your night today? He goes, it was absolutely awful. I had one of the worst days of my life. And I go, I'm so sorry to hear that. And he goes, why? I go, because you had a really bad day. And he goes, no, every bad day is always followed by a really good day. And when I have 2 really bad days, I get excited because I'm about to have 2 really good days. And I was like, what? You know what I mean? And it was just like so weird. I never put that into existence. I never thought like, oh, I'm having a really bad day. Nah, whatever. Just let it roll off because I'm about to have a really good day tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it almost always works.
Mm-hmm.
I swear to God, ever since he told me that, I literally practiced that and it freaking worked. And then he taught me that when something really, really, really bad is happening in your life, there's always a lesson to be learned in this hardship every single time. I know some people are probably like, why the hell is this happening to me? You might not get your answer right then and there.
Mm-hmm.
You might get it 10 years from then, but there is a lesson to be learned in every single hardship. And there's something to be learned about yourself in every single hardship. And when you have a really bad day, it's always followed by a really, really, really good day. And that was advice that was given to me many years ago. And it is something that has never, ever, ever left my brain. Ever. It's embedded in me. Ever since I heard it, I was like, that is such an amazing way of like looking at life. So when I'm going through something really difficult and people be like, are you, like I explained what I'm going through, like, are you okay? Like that's heavy. I'm like, it's whatever. I'm about to learn something. Like I'm actually really excited because I'm about to learn a life lesson. 9 times out of 10, I do.
Mm-hmm.
I always learn something through all of my hardships, and everybody can learn about themselves through their hardships. And I think as long as you're just open-minded to that and don't envelope yourself in the negative, just understand that where there's good, there's evil, there's good, where there's light, there's darkness, or vice versa.
Yeah, that's fine.
But it's true.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And that's like the number one advice that I was given that has honestly changed my day-to-day life since. And I don't know if anybody can ever take that and use that, but it is
for sure
definitely some of the most, like, the best advice I've ever gotten in my entire life.
Awesome.
Because it's helped with everything else that followed.
So, Linda, where can everybody find you at?
So my Instagram is L_Tomaj, Tomaj.
Mm-hmm.
My YouTube is Linda Tomaj, Linda,
Mm-hmm.
Tomaj, Tomaj. My website is lifestylelinda.com. There you can actually, my YouTube is linked and you have my links to all my programs that I do, my workout programs, fitness programs. But yeah, I mean, you can find me almost anywhere.
Awesome. Yeah, and that's perfect. And so for anybody interested, can get in contact with you that way.
Yeah, definitely.
Perfect. Well, listen, thank you, really, so
thank
much
you for having me.
This is dope.
This is so much deeper than I thought it would be.
What did you think it was going to be like?
I don't know. They were talking about fitness, like surface level stuff, you know?
This is the Activity Podcast. We get deep on here. Well,
this is great.
Thank you so much again. I appreciate it. All right, guys. See you guys next time. High five.
That was awesome.
That was dope.